In this video, we're going to talk about solving quadratic inequalities algebraically, which it's a lot of syllables in a short sentence, but it's brand new. It's something you have never done before, okay? When we solve these things algebraically, we're going to get an answer that is a compound inequality. If you remember, a compound inequality is something like x is less than 0 or x is greater than 5. That's one compound inequality. A different one would be -2 is less than x is less than or equal to 10. Those are the different types of compound inequalities. You either have an or in the middle or you have the x in the middle. To do these, you're going to get everything to one side of the inequality symbol compared to 0. So greater than 0, less than 0, does not really matter. Just get everything to one side. Then you're going to solve it as if it was an equal sign to find your critical values. We call them critical x values. Then we're going to use a number line and your knowledge of the shape of the parabola to find your solution. So, question number 3 here. I'm going to start by factoring out a -1. We already had everything on one side of the inequality symbol, which was nice, but that negative just makes it kind of messy. Notice I factored out a -1. I did not divide by -1. If you are to divide by -1, what would happen is you'd end up with x squared plus 9x minus 30x is less than 0, because when you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip the sign around. We don't need to do that. If you want to, that's perfectly fine, but just as a reminder, factoring and division are different, and this is where that would come in and potentially create a larger issue. I'm just going to leave the -1 as a factor out on the outside there. Really doesn't really do anything for us. So to factor x squared plus 9x minus 36, x times x gives me x squared. I need two numbers that multiply to be -36. So 1 plus 1 minus. They have to have a difference of 9. That's going to be 12 and a 3. Now this is where we are pretending that this is actually an equal sign. So I'm going to set x plus 12 equal to 0 and x minus 3 equal to 0. And I'm going to get two values. These are my critical x values. What I'm going to do now is draw the least accurate number line in terms of spacing that you're probably going to see in quite some time. I'm going to put those two critical x values in order from left to right, not the order that I found them, but the order of their values. So -12 is negative, it's further to the left. 3 is positive, it's further to the right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw on this, but realistically, if I'm doing this by myself, I don't need to draw. I'm just going to kind of visualize the graph based off of my a value, which in this case is the -1 that we factored out. Sometimes you have to factor something out, sometimes you don't. All I care about is, because this is a negative a value, if I were to draw the parabola, it would look something along those lines. Okay, I don't know any ordered pair other than -12, 0, and 3, 0. Those are it. But it's going to open downwards. So now, if I think of that number line as my y value being 0, these would be negative values, those would be positive values, and these would be negative values. Which means if I plug in an x value less than -12, further to the left than -12, my output value will be negative. If I plug in a number for x between -12 and 3, such as 0, if I plug in 0, my output value is going to be positive. Well, if I look at the original equation, if I plug in 0, that's gone. That's gone. I'd have +6, 36, which is definitely bigger than 0. And if I plug in something to the right of 3, say 10, if I plug that in, I'm going to end up with a negative number. I'm going to have -100 minus 90 plus 36 is definitely negative. So I don't need to necessarily draw this parabola as much as visualize, am I opening up or am I opening down? Okay, you're going to have sign changes. So now I look at, what did I actually want it to be? I want it to be greater than 0, which is positive. That's this part right here, the graph between x is -12 and 3. So from -12, I'm going to put x between that, and 3. I'm going to use the symbol less than here, specifically because there's no or equal to. If it was a greater than or equal to 0 in the original question, I would put less than or equal to in the rest of it, and in my answer as well. But this is my final solution. Any x value between negative 12 and 3, not including negative 12, not including 3, will give me a positive result. Have a great day, everybody.